Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Longbangers phone-in Thursday night. So it's phone-in time. Joined by Colin. First of all, Colin, how's it going, mate?
Good. Couldn't get myself mute. Amazing. Like I
Brilliant.
knew I was on mute. I'd love to put myself mute and then it took me ages to find the button again. I'm all right. Aye. How are you?
Yeah, good. Should say the phone-in is brought to you in association with Leeds Spirits because I nearly forgot to say that, and that wouldn't have gone down very well. So there you go. Thank you, Leeds Spirits, for doing this in
They're doing
association
their
with us or something.
David Gray bottle thing tonight, eh?
Oh, they
Doing
are.
that.
I
Yeah, I've seen Barry on LinkedIn
must have
doing
missed
his
an
wee video.
invite for it, Colin.
We didn't get one. Didn't get a bottle either.
Fuck's sake. We're gonna have to come up to the end of the season. Then we'll need to review this
Mm,
arrangement.
mm. I know.
Also got Ian on. Ian, how are you doing? Good to see you back.
I'm terribly excited about leaving at 8:35 a.m. On the 2016 bus to go to Ross County on Saturday.
It's an early start, eh? Is
I
Big
it?
know.
day out.
I was like,
They're having a big day out, aren't they? I know some of the guys that go on that bus.
it's always the same.
Aye.
Good. Also got James on. James, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Equally nervous because I'm going my first Hibs bus on Saturday as well.
Are you?
Didn't fancy the drive, so I usually drive to every game, but not this time. So I'm picking up, I don't mean random bus in a Leithen. So magical mystery tour.
Good stuff. I'm sure it'll be fun. Tracy, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I actually put Matthew Hoppy's agent on the 2016 bus once. And then they sent me pictures. All I'll say is that he had a great time.
Did any of you see Jamie Carragher with the Dortmund fans last night and him trying to interview was it Jadon Sancho? He was about 8 pints deep, wasn't he? Like he'd had
Mm.
a cracking night out.
Very sweet.
Of course it is. And also Andy, how you doing? I think this is your first time on the phone, but you would have been on Quick Bang back in the day, if I remember right. Oh, I think Andy's
That's
frozen.
frozen.
He's frozen. I don't know if he's just pretending and just sitting still, or if he's frozen. We'll get Andy back on in a wee bit. Right, I suppose let's kick off and start talking about Hibs. We've got a win to talk about. There's also the VAR review has been announced. Don't know if anyone's got any points about that. And Hibs has started putting out some stuff about Player of the Year, so we'll get some thoughts on who you think might win that. Ian, you were first on tonight, so I'll bring you in first to kind of I don't like. Do you know an old school? What is it? What's your point, caller? Let me say. What do you want to talk about?
I just thought it'd be worthwhile just giving a brief update from the Hibs first meeting on Monday, which was actually pretty good. The Easter Road is for the Hibs first members, and the house was full. It was great that Block 7 were actually there. As the previous time, the previous Hibs first event, it was all punters like me complaining about Block 7, but Ben Kensel was very pleased that they were there. Ben was actually very honest and apologetic, and it took some balls, I think, to turn up. He actually turned up just before me. It was interesting that he came, but Nick Montgomery wasn't there. And at the first one, Lee Johnson had been there with Ben. So after saying that he couldn't speak for Nick on football questions. Most of the questions he was then asked were about football, including stressing the losing of late goals, which he's actually said the whole management team were aware was a serious problem. And it was interesting. He was neither supportive nor unsupportive, I would say, of Nick Montgomery in his comments. For instance, he said, for instance, we weren't 20 seconds from ecstasy in the Ross County match, which is obviously Nick's comment. And I took that to mean that the quote was really on a sugary peg. But as I say, he was not unsupportive. He did say that in his view that we'd actually suffered disproportionately on the refereeing decisions. And he actually named the four critical ones that had cost us. But he said, on a question he said an apology would mean nothing to him. And it was interesting, one of the questions that he got was about the review. And Ben made it clear that his own performance was actually included in the review. And I think what interested me was because I wasn't expecting this, and maybe you guys were, but I've not heard it mentioned on Longbangers. Interestingly, he said that the Black Knight Group would have a big influence in football operations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And another, on a question of it, he said the main benefit of the Black Knights' involvement was not financial, but the player availability, and he referred to loopholes I don't know if he wanted to be quoted on loopholes, but he said he referred to loopholes which were advantageous to us. And he confirmed that a recruitment of a technical director was underway. And I think the thing that surprised me was, well, I know, obviously we talk about loan deals all the time, but I've never heard the term exit loans before. So when he talked about loan deals, he said they're either development loans or exit loans. And I just got a couple more points on a question. He said that his first priority was always recruitment of permanent players, and it was only for budgetary reasons that they went for loan players.
Mm-hmm.
And he quoted Will Fish as an example of a successful loan, and obviously he quoted Nathan as being the way they wanted to go. Macondes was there. I tried desperately to smell him as per the previous discussions. And I did actually, and at one point I thought he was a lassie because he actually let his hair down. And I thought, who's that? Because he had his hair in his normal bun. But he spoke very well in the interview. He said how much he enjoyed playing here. But he said it wasn't in his hands where he was going next season, and he was out of contract. So, and I think we're going to lose him because he said first thing you have to choose with the country, then the club. And it sounded like to me he was on his way. I mean, some punter asked a question of Ben about our failings in central defence, and of course everyone around you starts shouting harsh, harsh, because Rocky was actually sitting there, and the guy specifically said these questions, we signed Rocky by accident. Now I heard the guy apologising to somebody else later on, saying I didn't really mean it like that, but that's how it came over. And Ben responded by saying it was unfair to single out defence or an individual as we win or lose a team, and he got big applause for that. So I had a decent chat with Rocky after that, as I felt he needed a lift. And it's clear that the Shankland goal in the derby had a big impact on him, because when he went immediately to the Africa Cup of Nations, he said it made him even more determined that when he came back, he'd be more committed and more aggressive for the fans. Nathan endeared himself to the fans with his statement of how he played and what his ambitions were against the Hearts in the Old Firm. And the good thing was the Hibs first. There's no spaces left, of course. It's all full up. But we've got an account manager, and after 31st of May, any spare memberships would go on sale. It's still 50 quid as like last year. And I really like that because I go to every game, so therefore it's great being guaranteed the tickets. So that's the fastest I could do that report on the Hibs first thing on Monday.
Brilliant. What was your feeling after it, Ian? Did you come away from it feeling more positive than you had gone into it, or was there any change at all?
I came out feeling more positive about Ben, because the only time I've ever really seen him speak was at the Hibs first, and I saw him at Lucerne away, and he was just mixing with the fans there. But I was very pleased that he was very concerned, and that he seemed to be taking the position very seriously. So, given that he's still quite a young guy, I think he is, in my view, I think he's a good guy to have in the club. You guys know Brian McDermott and people like that better than I do. So I was very pleased with Ben's performance. It was a good night. It was well run, and I came away feeling I'm glad I went.
Colin made the point. I suppose privately, Colin. I can't remember if you've done it publicly or not. I'm sure I might have seen it posted somewhere. That 50 quid becomes incredible value when you think you get your guaranteed tickets plus a night with a 2-course meal and the manager and a couple of players at the end of the season.
You get your HQ magazine, 20 quid's worth of that. So it's actually, the club must be running at a loss on it.
Oh, it's incredible. I still have the first one. I've not finished the first one yet, and I'll be taking it on the Ross County bus along with my second one, which came last week.
I stopped getting it, Ian. It started irritating me, the grammar and the spelling. I was reading it going, oh man, and I was then looking for mistakes rather than reading the content, and it was irritating. So I did get the first, I don't know, 9 or so. I don't know what number up now actually, but
I think we were featured or mentioned in an early episode, and it was downhill for there. We're not. It
was after that.
As it peaked at that point. Ian, but you say you go all the games. You would have been at Perth on Saturday. What did you think of the game?
It was funny because at half time, my brother was in the back of the stand. Myself and my brother have fallen out so many times that I've tried to escape from him by moving from singing section in the east to somewhere else, and then to the west stand. But he kept on following me, and so now he's at the back of the east stand. So he says anyway, but he keeps on appearing at half time. I love him to bits, but he lives in Perth. And so he was at the back, and he was messaging me saying, I'm behind you. So at half time I went up, climbed over the seats as an old guy, got up to the back, and he said, how are we doing? I said, oh, we're playing crap. And he said, oh, you two will get on well. You're both glass half empty people. Because I thought there was nothing between the teams at half time, nothing. And they could easily have scored when McConaughey screwed up with his flick. And there was absolutely nothing between us. So I didn't see much difference really until Josh Campbell came on and Venti came on. And when they came on, Josh really energised the team. So I was very, very pleased because up till then it looked like we were doing our normal create, like 15 chances and score 2, you know.
Aye. Thank you. I'm going to bring James in next, but your brother's Gogs, Ian? I'm right.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I'm amazed he fought with him. Like I've never known Gogs to fight with anybody. James, you were at the game as well. What were your thoughts on it?
Sort of disagree with Ian. I thought we bossed it. I mean, I thought apart from that chance McConaughey's gifted the 1-on-1, I thought they created nothing. They looked lost in midfield. It was actually quite funny listening to another team getting booed off the park. It's usually been us all season, so to hear boos for somebody else, it was like turn to the guy next to us. So that's what it feels like. So I enjoyed the game. I mean, I think that really does help when Hibs are playing that well, create so many chances. Could have done a couple of more goals, would have been nice, but I'm not going to get greedy. 3's enough, I think. We've only done it twice this year in the league, so enjoyed it. And if we just kept a clean sheet, it would have been a nice bit of icing, but take the 3 points back down the road.
What did you think was different about the win on Saturday, or the performance on Saturday, and the game at Easter Road against St Johnstone?
Took a chance early. We did against Livy as well, scored early and never looked back. Scored fairly early, and Saturday again, basically we bossed the game. We had it in our own hands, whereas St Johnstone, we huffed and puffed. Maybe they changed their tactics, but I see Levine not changing. I would say Levine would keep it the same. So I think we changed ours. I think you touched on it earlier in the week. Nick's learning, and he got against Levine's side, he can't dawdle about at the back. Get it to the full-backs quicker, and it gets them on the back foot. I mean, Marshall was playing the ball straight to Abita a few times over the top of their press, and it put us in so many commanding positions. And once you get into the kind of final third, we've got the players that can hurt them. I just wish we'd hurt them a bit more.
What do you think of Boyle's performance? There was a wee bit of sort of split chat about Boyle. He missed a couple of chances, but he looked very, very dangerous. How would you rate his performance?
Frustrating, but that's been like that since he's come back, the poor guy. I mean, he tries his heart out. I would never doubt on his effort. He just runs and runs. Maybe lost a bit of pace. I enjoy watching him play. On Saturday, he tried, and when it came off, he got in behind and it looked fast and looked dangerous. Like Marcondes, when it doesn't come off, it comes off and it looks bad. I mean, like you touched on, Marcondes' just flick. If that had come off, my Real Welsh was going through the middle. But it didn't, and unfortunately, they went through the middle. So players like that, you sometimes expect little flicks not to come off and it looks bad. You sometimes just give him a bit of slack, but when it costs goals, it's hard to.
Aye. And one of the things I wanted to touch on, I'll get your views on it. There was this VAR report, I don't know if you've seen it, so they said there was a further 10 decisions that they got wrong. Included in, or not included in those 10 was the handball at Pittodrie. They said that didn't come into the review. We were on the wrong end of 2 of them, one of them being against St Johnstone, which might have given us an early goal at Easter Road had we got the penalty. Obviously, you need to score it first. What have you made of VAR, Ian, and the review? James. Sorry, Ian. Getting your hopes up there. James.
Ian was going to another 10-minute wait there. Ian would be on his high horse getting it all. I mean, it's good points, but he's better than I am at it. I try not to get too hung up on it. We're all in the same boat. But from a Hibs point of view, we've had 2 apologies as well. Plus, this review has turned around and said, "Oh, we got a couple wrong." I mean, it's a kind of like tough.
I don't know if we've had 2 apologies though, because they then went and just totally gaslighted us by not including the one that we said we had an apology for. It's like
Yeah.
the one that I'd love to hear that if that's no an error, we need to go and ask them and say, well, why was it no an error then? Because as I said before on one of the podcasts, every reason we've been given for something not being given before didn't tick any of the boxes. You know, it was coming for distance. It was the referee had a clear view. The player had a clear view. There was nobody around him. His arm was out. You know, like all the excuses the normal reasons they normally give for not giving a handball, none of them were applied for that one. And you go, right, well, tell us why that one wasn't given then. Like now that you've said that, no, we never apologised and no, we never made a mistake.
I don't
How
think
is
they're
it right?
saying. I don't think they're saying they never made. I think they're saying it wasn't in one of the decisions that was reviewed. So this is the
It said
confusion with it. So I think they've
the
done
la-
100% review. Did they not just say this wasn't included in it?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't
there's a
know.
cop out in it. They've got a wee clause where they say, "Oh, the ones that weren't reviewed by VAR are not included in this report." It's the same as the last time.
But they said in the Observer. Then I just read it actually before it came
Would
on.
you?
So
All right. So you can correct me then, Colin.
no, I don't know if that's no, I don't know if that's got to correct what you said. But it was more that what they said was that in the Observer they said that one the VAR said that it was fine, so it didn't send it back to the ref. So it was VAR, but then whether it was then included in that scope that you're saying, I don't know.
That's the point. So I think they said it wasn't part of the independent review. So no the VAR review, but the actual review of the VAR
Didn't
reviews.
even bother looking at that one. It's so obviously wrong that they didn't want to include it in their numbers. Like, it's mental. Doesn't make sense.
It was mental. One of the things that threw me when I saw the report for the review, it wasn't it like Hibs one, but St Mirren had a player red carded. They said that was a mistake, but St Mirren appealed that red card, and the appeal got rejected. I mean, you talk about something not making sense. Like that's a
There's no
referee,
logic.
a
Yeah.
VAR, and an appeal panel have all got it wrong. Mental, absolutely mental. James, where do you sit with VAR? Would you keep it or would you get rid?
Needs investment if we're going to keep it. We need to get. If FIFA are using this AI for offsides, we should be using it. We shouldn't be having different rules for different leagues. It should be maybe the same for everybody. That's the good thing about football at all levels. You say almost the same rules at the Premiership level or the same grassroots. This VR in different leagues, different rules, different setups is just a pain in the arse. I mean, I think
That's fine on the offsides, James. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, sorry.
That's fine on the offsides, but is it not? So I'm almost at the. So I was for it, but now I'm like, fuck! It's just costing money. It's not giving us anything. But you know what? It's giving us that the referees don't know the rules because they can't even agree. Like it's the referees that are applying the rules they're watching on the telly. They're getting it wrong on the pitch. They're going to VAR. They're getting it wrong. So they just don't know. And then, like that example you gave, the St Mirren one, everybody's agreed that, and then they went, "I was wrong," and you go, "What the fuck? Like, who's applying these rules?" And it's the same referees that sit in the wee box that sit on run about the pitch. Because in the Hibs example, David Monroe's name came up 2 or 3 times in it. He was a VAR in one game, he was on the pitch in another. We've all spoken about the other one, the boy. I can't remember his name now. The one I spoke to in Costa. What was his name again? Celtic one. The against Celtic.
The wee guy. Nick,
Aye.
Was it Walsh?
Nick Walsh.
Nick Walsh.
Aye.
Nick Walsh,
Aye. So, and he keeps coming up in your decisions. I'm not saying they're biased against it, but it's almost like you're going, do they know the rules? So maybe VAR's shining a light that they actually need proper training because they're just so inconsistent and erratic.
Let me give my view on VAR. Sorry, you come in. Yeah.
And he keeps coming up in your decisions. I'm not saying they're biased against it. Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird. Lost just for a second.
I'll give my view on VAR. I mean, my view is that that VAR, I think, is a good thing, but VAR should not be allowed to intervene, right? It should be like American football, and you guys have talked about this before, where the coach should be allowed a challenge, okay, and the referees should be allowed to go to VAR, right? But VAR should not be able to intervene and say, we think you missed something, okay? So VAR should not be able to come in. The coach should be able to challenge, right? And the referee should be able to go to VAR. That's my view.
You would have it like
Aye,
that.
there's something.
Kind of did the tennis.
Aye. So with the tennis challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you go, Colin?
I was just saying, I'm watching Tottenham Chelsea, right? And I watched the Chelsea goal, and it looked fine. It must have been 3-4 minutes to go through all the fucking bits and bobs. Is it offside? And you can see them reframing the ball and that, and then they will go, nah, he's onside. Oh, let's see if there was a wee block there as well. And you're like, you should try to chop a goal off. Like, you just, football's about goals. And I mean, the offside rule for one used to be give the striker the advantage. Now we're going, how do we get this goal chopped off? And even in England, like where we always use an example of how it's always better. I'm watching it going, fucking hell, just give the goal, man. There's nothing wrong with it. But you're watching it going, he's onside. Well, what free? That's not a free kick. And they're going over and over and over it. Get on with it.
It's mental.
And nobody in the stadium, by the way, knows what's going on because we can't trust football fans to actually get the information.
I think that's the worst part of it. Is like when you're at the game, you don't have a clue. And I always think that if you take the starting point that the referees are honest and they're trying to do the right thing, then why hide the audio for it? Like, it should be totally transparent for the folk that are paying to go and watch the game. Like your customers, it should be transparent. And there shouldn't be any reason why they can't say, I don't think that was a free kick, or I do think that was a free kick, or it's hit his hand, or it's no, or check for the offside, or all the rest of it. So I think we kind of get to hear it. A couple of comments on YouTube. So Kenny Whitson said, "Hi Tracy, spoke to you on Monday. Have you renewed yet?"
Not yet.
Right, Martin said, apparently we won't touch project players anymore, but we will persist with a project manager. That's Martin, who of hashtag Team Martin from a couple of weeks back. Kenny Whitson said was a bit down. Was a bit don't know what way to go with Ben Kensel, but he handled it well and answered questions openly and honestly. Pete Preston said, exactly, Colin, how on earth is the Aberdeen decision not even mentioned in the review? Alternative Hibs says, not amongst incidents included was one where Hibernian claimed the Scottish FA agreed an error had been made. The governing body later disputed that assertion made after Hibs were not awarded a penalty after Aberdeen's Nicky Devlin handled in February's 2-2 draw. That's John, by the way, who's meant to be studying. That's why he's off today. We were going to say he had dysentery, but he's meant to be studying. John, get back to your books or jump on. You know, you can't be watching us and then contributing with comments and no joining in. Kenny says, why is it not like rugby VAR? And Mark McKenzie says, we must be the only place with VAR operating with part-time referees. I would keep VAR if they could get full-time referees from another association running it.
Part-time referees on full-time wages.
Aye, get full-time referees in on full-time wages and get the money's worth.
They are on full-time wages. The part-time referees, like the money they get. That's why.
Do you think Hibs should be entitled to a refund for VAR? You know how all the clubs have to pay for it? It's just like a normal. Kim, if you buy something and it doesn't work, you can take it back and get a refund. Should Ben Kensel be going back with the receipt saying, by the way, this wasn't what you said it was?
Rangers will be at the front of that queue away.
Aye, definitely.
You see that in the paper? That's fucking nuts.
They say that they're the hardest done to. I couldn't believe that. Anyway, Tracy, what did you want to come on and talk about tonight?
I'll just pick up on a couple of things, obviously, with the VAR. I just think it's another thing. I think the game's pretty much in the bin at the moment. You know, you can't even celebrate a goal because you're feared to in case it's going to get chopped off. All this waiting to see if you're getting a penalty. Is it, what's happening on the pitch? There's no communication about it at all. It's spoiling the game completely. Nobody seems to know the offside rule, most of the rules, the handball rule. It's just like the game is in the bin. And I just think everybody needs to reconvene in the summer and just lay it out exactly how it is and make sure that it's more consistent. Because obviously managers can lose their jobs. Okay, that's 2 decisions they said. Obviously, we know there's more than that. But yeah, apologies don't give you back the points and that, so they're pretty meaningless. I'd like to know if after the review, are referees pulled in? Are the people who are doing the VAR pulled in? Are they reviewed? Are they spoken to? Maybe we should start doing what the Premier League does, like demoting them down a league and things like that as well, because they're never held accountable for any of their decisions at all.
Tracy,
when we didn't have VAR, you could easily say, yeah, well, okay, they've got a split second to make a decision. But this is supposed to take that pressure off them and rectify any bad decisions, and it's clearly not.
That's the question. See, our league placing this year, is that, well, I've seen something online that our league placing this year, the winnings, is on par with what we've paid for VAR.
Is it?
Aye,
Wow.
it's incredible. So if we finish 7th, we get something like, is it $750,000?
Don't know. Is it?
And I think we've paid just about 600 grand, just over 600 grand in VAR.
Because you pay less the lower down the table you finish. Like
Mm.
it's not split equally across the 12 teams.
It's incredible how it's absolutely thumbed us in the eye, and we're paying for it. We're paying for pain, in my mind.
Mm. Crazy, isn't it?
That's a
They do math,
tabloid
because it's-
headline.
Ian, were you going to
Just
come in with a
crazy.
point for Tracy?
See what Tracy, the 2 things, the 2 scenarios that Tracy was talking about. One, you can't celebrate a goal, and the second one is obviously where you're waiting. What you're waiting for is you're waiting for VAR to come in and tell the referee they've done something wrong. So in other words, after every goal, they're all reviewed. Now, why are they all reviewed? That's mental. So it should be, as I say, if the head coach wants to challenge it, they should be allowed to challenge, or the referee says, I'm not sure, then the referee should be allowed to do that. Otherwise, it's a goal, right? So it should be, if we removed VAR's ability to independently challenge, right, then that would fix a lot of the things that are wrong with it. And American football would never come in and do something like that, overturn something without somebody challenging it.
I get that. How many challenges would you give?
One each
3 or
half.
4, something like that. Yeah, maybe James. Sorry.
Do
If you get it wrong, you lose the challenge.
you get to keep it if you're right? So
Yeah,
like if
tennis.
if you
Like
challenge,
cricket, yeah, like cricket, yeah.
I'd put a time
And you've
limit
got
on
to
it
throw-
instead.
He's watching the Spurs game. He shouldn't be allowed to comment, right? But you've got to
Just
throw a
coming back
flag
on.
down. You've got to throw a flag down, like in American football. You should have to throw a flag in.
Yeah. No,
Think,
definitely.
I think if you've got to
if
take
we-
longer than a minute or something, sorry, if you've got to take longer than a minute to decide,
Good point.
they just go
Good
stance.
what
See,
I feel like
like
the
soon as
semi-final one.
with the flag, like
Aye,
in the centre circle.
Just
I
run
think
up.
they could try what they do with the ice hockey. Kind of just like they put somebody on, just have a packer, and the referee just lets it play out. They should do that. Just say, I think it's a penalty. They think it was a penalty. He's going to have to fight, and then the winner gets the decision. Just do that. We just need to hire some big hard bastards that have been missing for the team for a wee bit. Tracy, we've got the Player of the Year stuff coming up. Have you got a candidate for Player of the Year in mind?
I've voted.
Have you?
I
You
have.
share?
Jordan will beat us for my Player of the Year. I just feel he's been most consistent all season. So he was my outright Player of the Year. And then for the young player, I did kind of swither with that one. Because obviously I think Mariah Walsh has been absolutely fantastic since he's come in. But I noticed then Rocky was in there, and I do feel he's like so improved this season as well. So I'm not going to say which one.
All right, sitting on the fence.
Let's just say Lucy would kill me if I probably doesn't vote for one.
They seem to be nudging up the age limit for the Young Player of the Year each season. This is a wee bugbear of yours calling, eh?
I know, well, Rocky's what, only 23?
Aye,
No,
only.
24
24's not a Young Player of the Year.
He's got like 10 years left.
or
You know
23.
what I mean?
He's similar ages with my Megan, but just ever so slightly younger.
But
Like, I
halfway
think
through
he's about a
through.
year younger than Megan, so he's about 23, 24.
It's got to be. It's got to go like I'm looking at the last one. The only one there's like Whitaker or Lewis Miller. I would even say he's probably pushing being too old for it, in my opinion. You've got to be under 21 to win Young Player of the Year. I think.
I'd
it's
love
mad
to see
there.
Rocky
Josh
get it,
Campbell
'cause
and that in there.
Yeah, I'd love to see Rocky get it. I think he's had the shit he has had thrown at him is unbelievable, and it would really be a 2-finger salute to everyone. So I would love it. I would love to see him.
Vote for him for the big one then.
What was that?
Vote for him for the big Player of the Year.
Well, I did go for Jordan with that one. I think
he's
he has
25
been
this year.
I think he's just been consistent all through the season, and but no,
But sure,
we
he's
do like
25
Rocky.
this
And Lucy's a massive Rocky fan.
Colin, you said 25 this year.
25 this year.
Is
25 this year.
Jo-
I know. I think it's like
That's-
November or something like that. He's just slightly
Aye.
behind Megan because she's
Josh,
January.
Josh Campbell was in the category as well, and he
Yeah.
must be
Maybe
he must be
older than that.
kicking on as well.
He's aged
Uh,
before Chess, eh? Aye.
Does he? Andy, I'll come to you now. You sat patiently after disconnecting earlier. How are you doing? Are you well?
Not bad, mate, not bad. I was obviously up there at senior at Perth.
Aye.
I thought Hibs were fantastic. I thought they were really, really good. I took some of what Ian and James have said and Tracy have said, and you can sort of glean for each of them and pick the positives. But apart from one mistake in the whole game, I thought we were solid. Hanlon coming on, I thought he was brilliant. I thought like there's miles more in him than people give him credit for. Boyle, I thought was wee bit of hit and miss.
Mhm.
He should. It looks like he's, in my opinion, I think he's lacking a wee bit in confidence. It's like a year ago when he came back, he would have put the laces straight through that first one, and the other one got sort of tangled in between his legs. So I was kind of in line with that when that happened, and I felt sorry for him because it could have been really, really good, eh? But other than that, I thought Hibs were brilliant, and getting off the mark pretty early with Marconde's free kick didn't allow Levine to do his normal and completely, nullify anybody's creativity or inventiveness or anything, because you know what he's like. He'll 640 magician, eh? So, and it was brilliant to hear him on the radio later on, absolutely spewing. That made my week because I kept on listening to it. So
he was proper devastated, weren't he? Like, we were talking a wee bit for a coffee through the week, and we were talking about it. And I think, Colin, you said on the podcast on Sunday that you weren't even really listening to the words, but it was just the tone. And it's been a long time since I've heard Levine sound like that. It was
It was great. It was
magnificent.
I know.
he might be doing a podcast on his own, that start in the morning. Just himself. He's such a negative manager, the way he's everything he does is just to stop football.
Mhm.
And it's but no wonder they were booing. Like it was resounding. Like, I know normally Hibs have got a fairly big crowd up there, but that drowned everything out that was in our section that we were sitting in.
Aye.
It was loud, really loud. So they must be properly disgruntled with his type of football, and quite right too, because it's negative. It's no good to watch on any level, and you're paying money like that. That must and that Jeff Brown today was it Jeff Brown, their manager?
Yeah, I think so.
He's saying he's
Selling
willing,
up, isn't he?
he's willing to sell up. So aye, it's an American investor coming in. Well, from down south as well, sort of kind of along the same lines as our Foley. So that'll be another one to watch. But I thought Hibs were really quite entertaining, and every time we went up the park, getting into the 18-yard box, it felt like there was something going to be happening, at least a shot or part of a product rather than passing the absolute death of it. I mean, we were having pop shots from distance. There was crosses coming in. There was actual evidence of a product at the end of the play or end of the phase. So, very, very positive.
Good. I'll just forgot to mention this earlier on. We've got a wee 7-day free trial on our Patreon. By the way, folk watching this, folk tuned in an hour, will be watching it later. The phone in, so everybody that's on the phone in subscribes to the podcast. Right? That's kind of one of our ways of keeping folk that maybe want to come on and cause nuisance, as they used to do in the Twitter Spaces when we did it, out of the way. But if you go to Patreon, you can do a 7-day free trial for the subscription, so you'll get like our extra time episodes, anything else that we stick out for the subscribers. You get it ad free and you get the podcast a wee bit earlier than general release as well. So if you've been of a mind to think about subscribing, I would go to our Patreon, have a look, and try the free trial on it. Tracy, you got your hand up there now, and I've got a question for you. I'll come back to you in a wee second.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on the abuse as well. I know we've touched on it the last couple of weeks as well. But obviously there was talk about what happened on Monday night with Rocky, and that started a wee bit more on social media. Then there was the stuff with Ellie at the weekend that had been noted on Twitter or X, whatever we're supposed to call it now, and how he'd reacted to someone on Instagram. But I just think people need to reel it in big time. It's not helping the players at all, abusing them. It'll be the same people as well that abuse them that will go up on Player of the Year and want a picture and put it up saying, oh, I got a picture with such and such. And yet they're the ones that are, faceless on social media, giving them abuse. I think you've got to remember that everybody's got their limit. And I know that somebody had sent me a couple of things that Ellie was getting sent as well. And, it's just not on. People just, if you've got to private message a player, you're despicable. Honestly, that it takes a certain kind of person, I think, to do that. It's just not on. They're human beings at the end of the day. We've all got our limits. We've all got our point where we're going to snap over something. And it's just, obviously I was on the end of it when I did the fans rape thing as well. It was just constant, so much so that it was like, do I even want to go to the game? Because I don't actually know who this person is that keeps emailing me every day before a game. They're going to be doing this at a game, that at a game, get threatened going on a bus. It's just, you just, and obviously, as I take the girls with me, and they were obviously a lot younger then as well. So it wasn't just me I had to think about, but some people just, they just take it too far. It's a game of football at the end of the day. We're all passionate about it. We all want the club to do well and progress and be in the top six, and we want the best possible team on the park and the rest of it. But at the end of the day, Jesus, is that what your life's about?
I'm a really old guy, but I never, ever, ever have ever shouted at individual Hibs players, ever. I've never abused Hibs players. I don't criticise individual players. It's just ridiculous. It's utterly pointless, And so if you go to all the games, you just, there's very few people who consistently do it. So I don't know what goes on social media because they're very real big part in that. I just wanted to bring up something about the St Johnstone game. I don't know if you noticed that guy, Danny Phillips, 34. He was their best player, right? And I thought he was brilliant. He was Trinidad and Tobago. He came to Chelsea originally and then went to Watford. But he's a really, really good player. And his deal's up in the summer. So if St Johnstone get relegated, he'd be brilliant for us,
What position was he in? I can't remember actually.
He was a midfielder. He was a midfielder. He was 34, I think. I'm going to have to look him up. But 34, I think it was. He was really good.
You were calling him. I thought it was like a bit tabloid there when you were saying Danny Phillips 34. Rather than his shirt number, you mean? I was going to say he's maybe a bit old.
No, his age is his shirt number.
Yeah. Still qualifies for Young Player of the Year, but.
There's a few shouts for the keeper as well, isn't there?
I thought the keeper had a really good game.
Did you notice him? James, did you notice him 34?
Not in this game. I think he had bossed us at Easter Road. I think it was a bit better then. I think he was pushed a bit further forward and kind of closed us down midfield, but he wasn't as noticeable on Saturday. But I know the guy you're talking about.
Because you're right. But it's funny. It's funny us saying we were great on Saturday. But we were playing St Johnstone. We're in the bottom six. We have to annihilate these teams.
He created their goal. He created the goal.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought he was sharp in the midfield. He closed everybody down. He was their only really bright sort of prospect in the formation, because what's the other laddie in the up front? His thighs are like that.
See, if you describe a footballer with thighs like that, it could be fucking any of them, Andy. Like, there's one with thighs like that.
I must have missed those.
I've got quite big hands. His thighs were huge. I was quite impressed.
It's not sounding any better the way you're describing it. It's getting worse.
Since we're talking about players' bodies, can I just say that I put my arms around Rocky to get a photo taken with him on Monday, and he has the smallest waist I've ever put my hands around. You know, I was quite surprised. In my picture, I could send you it. You'll see my hand actually appears round the front.
I did not expect this the conversation to go this way. Anyway, Andy, what I wanted to ask you was how have you felt about the season? Like, how, because I see you sort of you're one of these Hibbies that vociferously defends the club. Like, you can see it means a lot to you, and I've seen you on social media sticking up for the club and everything. So how have you spot on it? How have you sort of viewed the season, and what have you thought about it?
It's been torturous. I'll give you an example. My dad came for his first game this season and we got beat, for St Mirren. I'll not be back. So, like that, we're trying to build something new with Nick Montgomery. I watched Nick Montgomery in Australia when I was over there. Obviously, I was there for just over a decade, and I watched his football, and I thought he was exciting, and I was an advocate for getting him in the door. And I felt, Hibs were actually making an appointment that might be all right, wee bit left field, but I watched Jason Cummins. I actually went to the game to watch Jason Cummins, but I've got an affiliation with Victory, from living in Melbourne. But they played Melbourne off the park. They played Sydney off the park. They played City off the park in some of the games that I watched. And A-League is pants, like it's proper pants. It's not a good standard, and everybody's trying to talk it up. And I played State League 4 over there at 39, and I was quite. I walked into the team. It was fairly. It is a growing sport over there now.
Yeah.
It's the fastest growing sport and participation sport in that country. But as I said, I thought he was going to be an exciting, fast flowing football. But from what I've seen, this whole season has been slow. There's your word, turgid. It's the build up needs to get quicker. I mean, like what Ian was saying earlier on, when they were over, I think it might be James actually, they're saying that they were getting the ball to a beater, and it's bypassing either Fish or it's bypassing Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't having that phase of play holding up the ball. So, and that got them into a more front foot, forward attacking sort of phase of play. And we've been missing that. We've been, all right, they've been told to play that way, but it doesn't seem like it was getting any better. This 4-4-2, when he came in, was hailed as, the way to go forward. It's not antiquated. It's the new Pep way. But it has been pretty torturous. It's been ups and downs. We have been, as I said, thumbed in the eye by VAR. And every time Hibs get on the front foot, we seem to just like pepper our own boat with bullets and sink our own ship. It just seems to be that wee step. Once we go over it, it'll be great, because we know what we're capable of. I mean, that one Saturday is what we're capable of. If we get an early goal, it puts negative football on the back burner. Like it does change people's plans. It changes teams' plans that are going to sit in, like your like St Johnstone's are a great actual example of that, because again, they do play negative football. Like Ross County done the exact same thing. They broke on like two occasions they scored 2 goals there.
Yeah.
And Hibs have been far too slow in making their possession count. And that's what we need to do. That's what needs to happen. The possession needs to actually have a product. And on Saturday, that's where it sort of, for me, was a massive apparent change, because the product was there, the actual end product, and it wasn't just laboured and then going through the motions again and again and again. We're no a counter-attack team. Well, no, by the way we play, because we play possession-based football to a degree.
Yeah.
And we should be a wee, but when we've got the ball at the back, we should be popping it about a bit more, because we do seem to have the players that are fast enough and the ball players as well. So attack minded, I don't think we've got a problem going forward. It is based around the lack of doing the simple thing first. Because Fish, when he first came in after his wee blip against the Hearts, he was doing all the simple things right. He was getting rid of the ball. He was heating it for miles, and he was just doing the simple things, getting the ball out of the danger area when we were under a press or whatever. Rocky, when he's coming out, I think he just needs a wee bit more confidence, because when he starts to turn back, that's when you can see the sort of doubt coming into his mind. Because I think the lad, he's got it. I just think he needs tweaked, because as Tracy says, he's got he has got ability, and I reckon it just needs to be tweaked. I reckon his first touch is better than we give him credit for. And his hassle. I mean, that wee laddie on the right hand side for St Johnstone, he was all over the top of him, and you could see it. But he wasn't fouling him, and he was using his body right, and defending. But it's been a long season. It's been a stuttering mess.
I think it's only just been a wee bit longer than your answer, Andy.
Sorry. We've got content there now.
It was an Oscar speech. That's what the hankies out there, man.
That's all we've got time for.
Who else can I thank?
Tracy, you've got your hand up there.
Yeah, it was just touching on Rocky again. Obviously, I think Rocky looked even better when Paul came on as well.
Right.
And I think just having that little bit of experience, and I think both him and Will could have maybe used that this season. Maybe if they'd switched things up a bit, maybe used Paul with his experience to help both of them, I think would have been great, because obviously Will probably has taken a little kind of he's probably a little bit slide in his performance, but he's still young and he's played every game. So you've got to watch with young players as well, that you're not overplaying them, overtraining them, and the rest of it. But I just think maybe both of them probably we should have utilised Paul much more than we have this season, and maybe given both of them that chance as well, just to kind of build them up, because as we know, everybody's looking for a scapegoat, and now that Paul and Louis haven't been on the pitch, it's certainly fallen to Will and Rocky, that's for sure. This season, there's always somebody that's getting it. But I just think maybe we should have utilised Paul that bit more, but using his experience to help them and bring them on more.
It looks like we're only going to have a couple more times, really, that we'll have the chance to see Paul and Lewis on the same pitch.
Have the club said? I've not heard anything from the club, because obviously the rumours are wild that they are definitely going to be leaving. But surely, the Aberdeen game or the Motherwell game, now you'd probably think the Motherwell game, but I think it'd probably be quite nice to do it the Aberdeen game. They've both got quite young families. Wednesday night's probably not the best time, so that they can maybe enjoy an occasion as well to celebrate what they have given the club over the years.
Get their families in
because
for a wee bit, hospitality and
loyalty
that.
is zilch in football, and these lads have shown it in abundance. I don't think it matters what anybody thinks about them, but these lads have actually given us some of the best days possible in their, supporting Hibs. And I just
Modern
think we
day
should be
legend.
giving them something back.
Proper modern day legends for him.
Yeah,
Aye.
Is it not
definitely.
16 years on the bounce? Hanlon scored.
Aye, 16
Yeah.
consecutive seasons.
And
Brilliant.
who else has done that?
Love it. And two
Ian,
great guys as well.
you get your hand up there, Ian.
Yeah, the problem is that, of course, Paul is literally still our best centre back. That's the problem, right? So he's still our best centre back, whereas Jordan has definitely taken Lewis's place. And I'm Lewis's biggest fans, but he's definitely taken Lewis's place. In terms of the season, I think our head coach has been rubbish. He's clearly still learning. I'd definitely not get rid of him. I coached for 10 years at youth level, and I was probably good for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was still learning all the time. In fact, I was still learning. But in terms of the season, if you remember, we historically have collapsed after Christmas, and then it got to be collapsing even earlier. But this year, we've never had anything to collapse from. We've been rubbish all year. So it's been a completely rubbish season. And thank God the Speedway season's just started, because tomorrow night I'm going to see the Monarchs at Armadale, and quite a few Hibbies actually go there. But thank God the Hibs aren't the only thing I've got going in my life, because it would have been an utterly miserable season.
There's a thing. Tracy, you mentioned the first week you were on about, I think it was first week, maybe the second week, about feeling detached for the club, and I thought about that a lot after we'd had the conversation. And one of the things that I think has been missing this season, it makes folk feel connected to the club, is the big moments, like a big win. Do you know, when you like a derby win, and probably the closest we've had was Ewan scoring twice at Tynecastle and pulling us back for 2-0 down.
I was ill that game.
Well,
I had to leave before half time.
There's
I was
bedlam.
so ill, and then I must have looked like a total raving lunatic in my car with the 2 goals. Folk must have thought, what's happening there?
But we've
My
not
wee
had
brother's wedding.
what?
It was my wee brother's wedding that day. I've cheered. Ellie's first goal during one of the speeches. So, needless to say, the bride wasn't very happy with me.
It should be illegal to get married during the football season.
I know, October 6th. It's like it was a proper wet weekend, eh?
I got married. Mind they used to do the Festival Cup. They did that for a couple of seasons, pre-season, and they picked that on my wedding day, which and obviously you couldn't watch anything like that, and I wouldn't have got away with trying to sneak away to watch the football. Obviously, my wedding day, but I can't remember what the score was. We got beat, obviously, like standard, but just
Lucerne away.
Aye, home and away, Ian, I would say. Home and away against Luzerne. And actually, for the folk that made it down to Villa Park, although we never got the result, that was definitely one of those occasions where folk would feel connected to the club. But I think they've been few and far between this season. And a lot of the games, even the ones where we've won them, because they've not been like massively convincing wins, the ones that might have been bigger wins, like the 2-0 against Aberdeen, we got battered in the second half of that, and we really had to dig out. So it felt good after we won, but it wasn't like do you know, whenever he's coming streaming out totally.
Marshall saved us that day.
Aye, he did, like literally.
It's so rare for us to win there as well.
I know.
Yeah.
Right, we're out of time, so I'm going to just get a Tracy, you've given us yours already, right? So I'm taking it you voted for Rocky, and if you did, that's what I'm telling everybody you voted for your young player, and I'll beat her for your player of the year. James, I'll come to you first. Who have you got for your player of the year, and then your young player?
Player of the year went to Joe Newell. I just think he's been consistent captain, and some of the going back to the Luzerne game, which he's getting 2 votes from me on. Just some of the skill during that game, plus that finish. And he's carried that through parts of the season from start to finish, and that's why he gets my player of the year.
All right, what about your young player?
I gave it to Rocky. I just think he's been solid in defence. Different player. He's confident coming forward. Makes the odd mistake, but been watching some of this English football tonight, and at the back they look shaky as hell with some of the passing. So Rocky get my young player.
Okay, Ian. Same questions to you.
Jordan, because Jordan has replaced my favourite player in the world, which means I have to change all my passwords because they're all based on Lewis Stevenson. They are. They're variants of Lewis Stevenson and Nathan for Young Player of the Year. Because he's the
Andy?
future.
Yeah, it has been impressive as well. Sorry, Andy. Nathan, when he's come in, has been a good addition to the team.
I haven't voted, but it would go to Abita and my young player. If he still sneaks in, I know he's been getting absolute penalties.
David Marshall?
No. Dylan Levitt.
Oh,
He's on the list.
Controversial.
Aye, because he's still under 30, so makes it.
I like
Levitt's an interesting choice. Like I have to say, I've been underwhelmed with Levitt. I tipped him in his side, and somebody's bookmarked the tweet obviously because I was like, Levitt will leave here an £8 million player, and he's good. He's good to have a fucking brilliant season next season. Otherwise, I'm going to look even more stupid than I normally do.
You watch him. The way he presses the ball and the way he distributes it is brilliant. He's like a Scott Allen. He's not developed yet, but he's only 23.
it needs to be played in the right position as well.
Correct.
Yeah,
And he's not a number 6.
Anyone that can caress balls. I mean, that is brilliant, Andy.
I'd love to see Levitt. You know, sometimes
Caress
like
balls.
you will take a game by the scruff of the neck, like Lucerne, where he played in like a man possessed and he's dribbling by players, and even there's the goal of the season. Hibs have put up a few goals on YouTube tonight, and Newell picks up the ball, sort of drives past I think 3 Livingston players to set up a goal. He's got that in him. I'd love to see Levitt have that same attitude and that sort of I'm going to impact a game, because he's definitely got the ability, and if he just had that determination to be like I want to be the main man, then I think he would be good. Colin, who would you pick then? Player of the year?
It'll be Jordan Abita because he's probably been the most consistent. And young player, I think I'm going to go Whittaker purely based on I'm not having anybody over 21 getting voted on.
So youngest player of the year.
Well, the only young player that's played, and he done well. Lad, he's 16, getting in the first team, big achievement. That he done well. He needed to be taken back out of the team, but he's totally out of the box now, obviously, because we've got about I don't know how many right backs we've got, but Cadden's clearly the 4, is it, Andy? We've got loads of right backs, but and Cadden's the best one, and I think Whittaker would be a good deputy. But then we've got Megwa as well, of course, who's also.
Could you vote for Megwa? Is he on the list? Could you vote for a player that's been at another club and had a great time?
I don't think he is on the list, mate.
No, because he'll be at their player of the years.
Yeah, 2 there. That's all right. That'd be a good
Although
season
we've got
for
players
him.
on there. Although we've got players on there that barely played a minute as well. So, Giantis is younger than Bill Fish. Did you know that? I've been googling the ages while we've been talking here. But Josh Landers, like I think he came on in one game, so he makes a list. I'm not criticizing, like good for him. Like I'm not meaning that to sound like criticism, but it's like that's where we are. You know, we've got player Jacob McIntyre. You know, Maenda is on the list. They've probably got like less than 5 games between them. Less than one game, less than 90 minutes between them probably in those 5 games. So it is a bit of a list. So I think I'm going Rory Whittaker. And can I ask a question? Because I know we're finishing up, but Jordan Abita, so I think he's probably been the most consistent as well. But you asked me a question on a podcast a while back, and you said, was anybody saying that before the derby at Tynecastle when he put the boy in his arse and then gave it the come on to the crowd, get that up, because that's what folk get folk on side. And I know Mariah Welsh done it at the away season ticket holder thing the other night. He was saying he's a Hibs man and he wants to win the derbies and all that. And fans lap all that shit up, and it gets them on their side and it gives you leeway. And I wonder if we'll beat as high on the list as obviously a clear winner as I think he's going to be. Partly because he done that in the derby. Or am I being harsh?
I think he's been consistent. I mean, he has played well for most of the year. I mean, he got off to a rocky start. He got a lot of abuse at the beginning of the year.
He could
unfairly.
whip a ball. Like he
Oh,
could whip a ball.
I like his
But
Let's
crossing.
be honest, most of the team get abuse.
Aye.
You know what I mean? There's always
Fair enough.
somebody's done something wrong because
Tracy,
everybody else is so perfect.
Tracy, I'm sick fed up of the club getting bashed and the players getting bashed on social media. Like every one of them.
Something needs to be done
on social
about
media.
it. It's
There's no drawback. I mean, if somebody went up to their work and started abusing them at their place of work, I'm pretty sure the police would be phoned.
aye.
I didn't understand it, and I know I'll say again, we've got to finish, but everybody used to defend their team, like the
Aye,
other
stuck up
players.
for them.
But now we've got this element, I suppose, and I wonder if other teams are the same. But we've got an element that
So
kind of chase your
toxic.
players out. It's a bit
Mhm.
weird, I think.
Like, it
Whereas
was just before I resigned, sorry, because I know we'll end up but we still on here at 10 o'clock at night. It'll keep John happy. It keeps me at the living room. But yeah, the year, well, when I resigned for the fans rep, obviously we had played Celtic and it was like so toxic then. There was like support. I mean, the first time Lucy's ever cried at a football match. Guy behind us was going absolutely ballistic, and of course she loved Paul Heckingbottom. So he was the abuse he was spouting about him. She was like, "We don't talk about it like that." She was so upset about it. And then there was like supporters fighting each other. There was a couple that actually had to pull their boys apart. I mean, it was just horrendous. And of course, I had John, Celtic supporting hubby, who'd been at the game waiting for me at Hart Hill at the car park. And I told him to get in the effing car and not say an effing word. And Lucy got in and went, "Dad, don't say a word. Don't even sing your songs." Because Mum's raging. But then I thought, I'll wait. Obviously, you could feel that it was going to, the way he was going to get sacked. And I thought, I'll do it once they've sacked him because I don't want people to think that I wanted him sacked. But it was just horrendous, and I thought I was getting petitions sent to have him sacked, and I was like, well, that's a man's job, you know. And it's just like I can't actually represent this toxicity anymore. So I only had a few months to go. I could have just hung it out, but I was like, nah, can't do it anymore. Just stepped down.
Do you mind back in the day you used to hear songs sung about Robbo's wife or Richard Gough or Stevie Fulton, and it was like you made it unwelcome for the opposition coming, and it's like it's gone the wrong way now. It's like it's better for the opponents coming east of the road than it is for the for the Hibs players sometimes.
Stevie Fulton, I mean, the Stevie Fulton song was about him being ugly, right? Now we don't actually get that sung about the Hibs players, and obviously I lived in the States at the time, but when I came back and Gary Caldwell scored against us, and everybody's singing Gary's How's the Wife, and I didn't care what they were talking about, and Colin, you know, and Jeffrey's wife. And something about Dreams of Colin Nish. I'll not mention the rest of it, but my daughter was enthusiastically singing that. But I think these kind of songs are different from saying that somebody's shout.
Of course,
you know?
Yeah.
Your own players. I mean, it's completely wrong to shout at your own players and say they're crap. I mean, the head coach is responsible for the performance of the players, the selection, the formation, the motivation. Head coach is the person that's responsible for the result.
Happy Albert Kid Day, by the way.
Club thing, because it's all about club culture and environment that they're in as well. So that's a bit of everybody as well who works there and creates that environment and creates that culture. And you have to obviously make sure that you've got the same values as the club and that you're working to that. I just think whether you like football, whether you like Hibs or not, you go in there, you do a job, and you should be proud to be there.
But Tracy abuses her husband, swears at her husband, but says we are not to shout at the players.
But he's a Celtic supporter.
Right, I think on that note, Andy just quite rightly pointed out it's Happy Albert Kid Day today as well for everyone who celebrates it. And on that note, don't forget to go and subscribe. You can try it out for free at our Patreon. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us on the call. Thanks for everybody who's joined in watching and left comments. Not got through them all. And we'll be back on Sunday calling with Longbangers. Thanks for tuning in.